Some of the state's best-known officials and political strategists assembled for the watch party at NJTV headquarters last night. Governor Christie's first question was familiar turf to this crowd. How does he explain New Jersey's poor economic numbers?
If you think it's bad now, you should have seen it when I got there. The fact is...
He delivered the litany of numbers and arguments he's been using for months.
And what's happened since? 192,000 new private sector jobs in the 5.5 years I've been governor. We have a lot of work to do in New Jersey, but I am darn proud of how we've brought our state back.
At the commercials, we got reaction.
A lot of talking points tonight. These guys are very rehearsed. They've been practicing all week for this, this moment, but not a lot of originality. Very rehearsed talking points. Marco Rubio, he's a phony.
Well, I certainly was impressed with Governor Christie's first answer. I can't wait to see him get on the open field. I'm going to be very excited to see him get in with a question that he can get some meat out there for him.
John Kasich had fielded a question about expanding Medicaid under Obamacare.
Kasich actually, I think, did a fantastic job with this question. It was from the standpoint of Republicans, kind of a nasty question, and I think he actually turned it around pretty well.
Christie kind of disappeared after that until Megyn Kelly brought up domestic surveillance and Christie's longstanding criticism of Rand Paul on that issue.
I was appointed U.S. Attorney by President Bush on September 10th, 2001, and the world changed enormously the next day. And it happened in my state. This is not theoretical to me. I went to the funerals. We lost friends of ours in the Trade Center that day. My own wife was 2 blocks from the Trade Center that day at her office, having gone through it that morning. When you actually have to be responsible for doing this, you can do it, and we did it for 7 years in my office, respecting civil liberties and protecting the homeland.
I want to collect more records from terrorists, but less records from innocent Americans.
That's a completely ridiculous answer. I want to collect more records from terrorists, but less records from other people. How are you supposed to know, Megyn?
Use the Fourth Amendment.
How are you supposed
Use
to?
The Fourth
no, I'll
Amendment.
tell you how you
get a warrant.
Let me tell you something.
Get a judge to sign a warrant.
Senator.
Go ahead, wait, Governor Christie, make your point.
Listen, Senator. When you're sitting in a subcommittee just blowing hot air about this, you can say things like that. When you're responsible for protecting the lives of the American people, then what you need to do is to make sure that you use the system the way it's supposed to work.
Here's the problem, Governor. You fundamentally misunderstand the Bill of Rights. Every time you did a case, you got a warrant from a judge. I'm talking about searches without warrants, indiscriminately of all Americans' records, and that's what I fought to end. I don't trust President Obama with our records. I know you gave him a big hug, and if you want to give him a big hug again,
How did he answer? Go ahead, Governor.
And Senator Paul, the hugs that I remember are the hugs that I gave to the families who lost their people on September 11th. Those are the hugs I remember.
This is like the Super Bowl for Republican political junkies. Doesn't get any better than this. I don't want this to end.
I think it's the same Chris Christie we've seen all along. He tells it like it is.
Trump is a disaster. Hopefully our party will come to its senses, because if Trump is our candidate, we will lose on a scale that McGovern lost.
I think our governor actually got the question he needed, and I think he owned the question. I think the back and forth with Rand Paul was outstanding on it for him.
The focus kept shifting back to Donald Trump, who was acerbic and colorful.
First of all, these lenders aren't babies. These are total killers. These are not the nice, sweet little people that you think, okay?
Is Trump starting to seem plausible?
I think he's starting to seem less plausible. I think he's saying what people want to hear, but to me, he's not coming across as presidential.
I think Fox is doing a really good job. I think they're being tough on these candidates, which I think is some people may be surprised by. And I think there's a few candidates standing out. I think Marco Rubio is standing out. I think Governor Christie's done a good job.
I like my governor. My governor is fighting when he has to fight. He rolled up his sleeves and can throw a punch when he needs to. At the same time, he's been well-behaved when he thought he had to be well-behaved, and I think that shows his diplomacy.
Christie and Mike Huckabee disagreed on Christie's proposal to means test Social Security and Medicare.
Governor Huckabee says he can save Social Security and Medicare without doing any of that. Is he lying?
No, he's not lying. He's just wrong. So there's a difference. Listen, I'm the only guy on this stage who's put out a detailed 12-point plan on entitlement reform, and here's why. Because 71% of federal spending right now is on entitlements and debt service. 71%. And we have spent the last hour and 5 minutes talking about the other 29%. If we don't deal with this problem, it will bankrupt our country or lead to massive tax increases, neither one that we want in this country.
Whose fault is it that the system is screwed up? Is it the recipients or is it the government? And if Congress wants to mess with the retirement program, why don't we let them start by changing their retirement program and not have one instead of talking about getting rid of Social Security and Medicare? I just think it's fundamentally lying to the people and stealing from them, and we shouldn't be doing it.
I don't disagree with ending Congress's retirement program. I'm a governor. I don't have a retirement program in my state, and I don't disagree with that. But here's the news for the American people. He's complaining about the lying and stealing. The lying and stealing has already occurred. The trust fund is filled with IOUs. We can't fix the problem just by entering Congress's retirement. That's worth about this much.
At the next break, we kicked it around.
Do I have to interview you? So, Mike, what's your impression so far?
I think it's a good debate. I think Trump is gaining plausibility, unlike Bob Uden here, who thinks he's a disaster. And who else said to me that he was a disaster?
Not only now, but if he were to become our candidate.
Chris Russell said it too, but
he's moving to Bergen County anyway.
Show of hands if you think Trump is helping himself today. Raise your hand. If you think he's hurting himself, raise your hand.
Huh.
What if you don't know?
He doesn't look
The reason he's helping himself is because, in my judgment, he's dominating the discussion.
At the start of the evening, our guests ranked the candidates from first place to 10th, with Bush in first, followed by Kasich, Rubio, and Christie in fourth. After the debate, they ranked them again. Kasich and Christie moved up to 1 and 2. Bush slipped from 1 to 4. So who won?
When you have that many people on the stage, I don't think anybody wins. I'm looking for a good result from our governor, and I think we got it.
I think Fox News won tonight. I can't imagine that ratings aren't through the roof.
The questions were great. The Fox News anchors did a fantastic job. Governor Christie actually was very good, except there was a feeling like you didn't see him very much.
The governor did very well. I wish there could have been, he could have had more time.
Tonight there was a feeling, a Super Bowl feeling in the room that this is a big event, must-see TV.
The debate format played really well. I think the moderators did a good job. I think Governor Christie did a good job. I think the back and forth between him and Rand Paul is going to get a lot of secondary play post-debate.
I thought Rubio did a great job. I thought Kasich did. I thought Christie did. I thought Ted Cruz did. And I thought Jeb Bush did a decent job. I thought Trump was lackluster, and I think it's going to hurt him.
I thought all the candidates performed very well this evening. I think all of them would serve a great position in the Christie administration when he becomes president. Even Donald Trump.
What we're seeing right now on social media is that Donald Trump is still #1 in terms of Google searches and what's trending right now immediately after this debate.
I think in the end, Jeb Bush was the biggest loser. He looked tense. Disappointed that he even had to be on the stage in a contest at all. He wanted to be crowned this position, the nominee, and I think he's the biggest loser tonight. John Kasich actually came across pretty nice. He had good answers, I thought. Governor Christie did a very good job.
The next debate and the next watch party are on September 16th. In Newark, I'm Michael Aaron, NJTV News.